Okay, so let us start today's session. In the last session, we have seen the vapor compression refrigeration system. Okay, if you just can recall what we have covered in the last session is, okay, we have seen the vapor compression refrigeration system. Okay, so see all of you, this is a schematic diagram for the vapor compression refrigeration system. Okay, and this vapor compression refrigeration system, we have it in 4 cases. First case where the after the compression we have dry saturated vapor. Okay, that is a point number 2. Okay, where the point number 2, it is lying on a dry saturated vapor line. Okay, so after the compression we have dry saturated vapor. Okay, next case we have seen after the compression we have wet vapor. Okay, so you can see the point number 2, it is lying inside the dry saturated line. Okay, after that we have seen the third case, the point of that is after the compression we have superheated steam. So you can see the point number 2 where it is lying. It is lying on the right hand part of the curve. Okay, that is a superheated one. Okay, and one more case we have seen. Okay, that is before the compression it is superheated. So you can see the point number 1, that is before the compression it is superheated. Okay, so for all these cases we have seen the vapor compression refrigeration system. Okay, followed by that we have seen the different factors which affects the performance of vapor compression refrigeration system. Okay, so simply if you ask me to summarize, okay, if you decrease the suction pressure, COP decreases. Okay, if you increase the discharge pressure, also COP decreases. But what happened? Okay, if you superheat it or if you subcool it, its efficiency increase, COP increases. Okay, if you want, I'll just revise. If you decrease the suction pressure, COP decreases. If you increase the discharge pressure, COP again decreases. But if you superheat it or if you subcool it, okay, your COP will increase. Okay, so with all this understanding, okay, we'll start with the first problem based on vapor compression refrigeration system. Okay, so as you can see the problem, okay, so problem is, okay, you can see a refrigeration system of 10 TR capacity. Okay, a refrigeration system of 10 TR capacity. See, so 10 TR capacity, okay, it is nothing but, okay, what refrigeration effect we want, right? So we want a refrigeration effect. So okay, let us start with the solution. A refrigeration system of 10 TR capacity. Okay, so let us start with the solution. Okay, we want a refrigeration effect. We want refrigeration effect. Okay, refrigeration effect we want, that means we want that much amount of heat should be absorbed. Okay, that means amount of heat should be abstracted or extracted. Okay, you call it as heat absorbed or extracted. Okay, or abstracted, it is having one and same meaning. Okay, so we want a refrigeration effect of 10 TR. 10 TR. Try to understand. Okay, 10 TR we want. 10 TR refrigeration we want. 10 tons. Simple. Okay, but see this 10 tons, okay, will not, okay, you can't take it as it is, right? We need to convert that into kilojoule per minute. Okay, so simply when you multiply this 10 by 210, okay, it gets converted to kilojoule per minute. Okay, see how to convert tons, okay, into kilojoule per minute. Okay, so all those things we already see, right? So let us start with this one. Okay, so we want a refrigeration effect of 10 TR, that is 10 into 210 kilojoule per minute. Okay, 10 into 210 kilojoule per minute. Okay, at an evaporated temperature of minus 12 degrees Celsius, at an evaporated temperature of minus 12 degrees Celsius. Okay, so what is it? Okay, see, when you talk about the cycle, when you talk about the when you talk about the vapor compression refrigeration system, okay, there are basically 4 components. Okay, one is a compressor, second is a condenser, followed by we have capillary tube, and finally we have finally we have evaporator, right? Compressor, condenser, capillary tube, and evaporator. So all those are the components, okay, which belongs to the vapor compression refrigeration system, right? Now see, when you if you ask me to just simply plot the diagram for that, okay, so see, when we talk about the diagram, okay, so let us plot on a pH diagram. Let us plot this process on a pH diagram. Okay. So okay. See, for the pH diagram, okay, I will just draw a left hand part of the curve. Okay, I'll just draw the left hand part of the curve. Okay. So let us see this left hand part of the curve. It is somewhat like this. Okay. And also plot the right hand part of the curve. Okay. So it will be somewhat like this. Okay. Let us see this. Okay. So this is basically the dome. Okay. Inside which we need to plot the different processes, right? So you can see a refrigeration system of 10 TR capacity at an evaporator temperature of -12 degrees Celsius. Evaporator temperature. See, whatever the lowest temperature it is there, it's the evaporator temperature. Okay, because see, on a pH diagram, you will get some line like this. Okay, let me show you those lines. Okay, on pH diagram, okay, you will get some line like this. Okay, along which the temperature is constant. See, along this line, temperature is constant. Okay, so you will get some line like this. Okay, along which the temperature is constant. Okay, similarly, okay, you can get some line like this where temperature is constant. Okay, try to understand. We are plotting a pH diagram. We are plotting a pH diagram. Okay, we are plotting a pH diagram. Okay, so we will have some processes like this, and along these lines, okay, temperature is constant. See, pH diagram, if you have a horizontal line, their pressure is constant. But if you have a line like this green line, or you can mark this as a orange color line, so along this line the temperature is constant, right? So see here what is given. Here given that we have evaporator temperature -12 degrees Celsius. See, evaporator temperature, okay, it is obviously the lowest temperature. Okay, so along this line we'll have the -12. Any point on this line we have temperature -12 degrees Celsius. Needs a condenser temperature of 28 degrees Celsius. Okay, so condenser temperature, obviously it is a maximum temperature. Okay, so it will, I'll just mark this as a 28 degrees Celsius. Try to understand, this is 28 degrees Celsius. See, all of you, see, the very important thing which you need to remember in this particular cycle is, see, you have always 2 temperatures and 2 pressures. 2 temperatures and 2 pressure. Okay, as like condenser temperature, condenser pressure, evaporator temperature, evaporator pressure. Okay, so you will have only 2 terms, either in terms of condenser or in terms of evaporator. It might be condenser temperature, it might be evaporator temperature, it might be condenser pressure, it might be evaporator pressure. Okay, so here temperature is given, so you can see at an evaporator temperature of -12 degrees Celsius. So along this line at any point temperature is constant. See, if you're getting confused, you can see this pH diagram. Okay, see, at any point, see, same I have drawn, this is a pH diagram. You can see it's a pressure versus enthalpy diagram. You can see this is pressure versus enthalpy. Okay, so simply if I show you any temperature line, let me show you one temperature line. Let us see this 80 degrees Celsius line. So how this 80 degrees Celsius is going? It is coming straight, okay, till it reaches this black colored line. This is called as a saturated liquid line. Okay, this black colored line, okay, till this particular point. Okay, till this particular point. So if you want, I'll just show you that. Okay, this black colored line. Okay, I'll just highlight that point. Okay, here, see this particular line, I have not overridden it. See this black color line, it is called as a saturated liquid line. You can see that this is a saturated liquid line, right? It is a saturated liquid line, black colored line. Okay, see this one, see this black colored line, it's a saturated liquid line. So this temperature line will come, it will intersect the saturated liquid line, okay, and it will further move in a horizontal direction. As you can see, it will move in a horizontal direction like this, right? Okay, then it meets what? It meets then saturated vapor line. See, the left hand part of the dome, it's a saturated liquid line. Right hand part of the curve, it's a saturated vapor line. Okay, now once it touches here, it just goes down. You can see that it goes down, right? Yeah, is that okay? Yes, let me know. Is it okay? Yes, all of you. Is that okay? Yeah.
Yes, sir.
So see what
Yes,
I've
sir.
done. Yeah, this is a pH diagram, actual pH diagram. Okay, I just tried to explain this, okay, with the help of a diagram which I drawn, right? So on this line, temperature is 28. Okay, that is basically the condenser temperature. Okay, and here we have minus 12 degrees Celsius. Here we have minus 12 degrees. You can see that. Yeah, is that okay? So see, as you move from left hand side towards right hand side, okay, obviously the temperature will goes on increasing. See here the temperature is minus 12. If you see here, it is greater than minus 12. Further, it is greater than minus 12, and further it will goes till 28 like that. Okay. So now let us try to understand the given data, right? So it requires a condenser temperature of 28 that is shown here. The refrigerant NH3 is subcooled by 5 degrees Celsius before entering the expansion wall. So this is important. Try to understand. See, the refrigerant NH3 is subcooled by 5 degrees Celsius before entering the expansion wall. Try to understand now. See. Okay, now see all of you. What is very important? Okay. See, if I just see the point number 1 here, try to understand. I need to start with the cycle. I need to start with the cycle, right? So I can start with this point. Okay, try to understand. I can start from this point. See, I can start with this point when the steam is wet. Okay, when it's a wet vapor, not a steam, when it's a wet vapor. See, I can start with this point when vapor is wet. Okay, I can start with this point when vapor is wet. Okay, now see, I can start from this point, all of you. I can start from this point when the vapor is dry. Understand? See, I can start with this point when the vapor is wet. Okay, see here the vapor is wet. If I start from this point, the vapor is dry. Okay, and if I start from some point somewhere here, the vapor is said to be superheated. Try to understand. This is a wet region. This is a dry region. This is a superheated. Okay, and see whether it is a point number 1 or this is 1 dash, or you can call this as 1 double dash. At any point we have vapor only. See, at any point, whether it's a 1 or 1 dash or 1 double dash, it's a vapor only. Okay, but at point number 1, it's a wet vapor. See, at point number 1, it's a wet vapor. That means it contains some moisture at point number 1, because see, when you talk about point number 1, the point number 1, it is lying inside this dome. Okay, it is inside the dome. That's why it is wet. When you talk about point number 1 dash, it is lying on the dry saturated vapor line. It is lying on a dry saturated vapor line. That's why at 1 dash we have dry vapor. At point number 1 dash we have dry vapor. Now see, once it crosses this boundary, it becomes superheated. So at 1 dash the vapor becomes superheated. Is that okay? Yes. Yeah, let me know. Is that okay? Yes,
Yes,
all of you. Okay, now see all of you. Now see the refrigerant NH3 is subcooled by 5 degrees Celsius before entering the expansion wall. Try to understand. See, this process, horizontal process, okay, it is like this, right? It is like this. An evaporator pressure process, okay, it always goes like this. See, I'm trying to make it very simple. Okay, see, always condensing. This is a condensation. Okay, which occurs in a condenser. This occurs in a condenser. Okay, this minus 28 degrees Celsius, it's a condenser pressure. Okay, it's a condenser pressure. So that process occurs in a condenser. It occurs in a condenser. Okay, what is about below? Okay, it's a evaporator temperature. Okay, so obviously that process occurs in a evaporator. That process occurs in a evaporator. That process occurs in a evaporator, right? Okay, that process occurs in a evaporator, right? See, this is the condenser pressure, condenser temperature. This is the evaporator temperature. Now see what they're saying. The refrigerant NH3 is subcooled by 5 degrees Celsius before entering the expansion wall. Now see, before entering the expansion wall. See, when you talk about this point, okay, that is the exit of the condenser. Okay, once the refrigerant get out from the condenser, where it goes to the expansion wall. Try to understand. After the condenser, okay, the refrigerant goes to what? Expansion wall. And before it goes to the expansion wall, we need to subcool by 5 degrees Celsius. Okay, now see, what is the meaning of that? Okay, this point, okay, see, let me start. Okay, you just forgot about this point. The refrigerant NH3 is subcooled by 5 degrees Celsius before entering the expansion wall. Let us go to the next statement. The vapor is 0.95% dry when it leaves the evaporator. Okay, how much? It should be 0.95% dry. See, 0.95% dry means still it contains 5% moisture. Try to understand. 95% dry means what? It contains still 5% moisture. Okay, and the vapor with greater than 0% moisture, it is said to be wet steam, wet vapor. Okay, I repeat, the vapor with greater than 0%, it might be 0.1, 0.2, anything. Okay, it is said to be wet vapor. Okay, so what do you mean by that? The vapor is 0.95% dry when it leaves the evaporator. Okay, see, so that means, okay, see this point. Okay, I will start with point number 1. Okay, see, exit of the evaporator, it is nothing but what? Inlet to the compressor. Try to understand. Exit of the evaporator, it is nothing but what? Inlet to the compressor. Okay, so whatever the state we have at the exit of the evaporator, same we have it at the inlet to the compressor. Okay, so try to understand this. Okay, that is the reason why. Okay, that is the reason why I have taken the point, okay, 1 here. Why I taken the point number 1 here? Because you can see the vapor is 95% dry. That means it is 5% weight. Okay, and single percentage of the wetness make that to be a wet vapor. Okay, so point number 1, it is lying here because it's a weight. Is that okay? You can see. Is that okay? Yes, let me know.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So see, let us start now. See, after 1 to 2, what we'll do? From 1, okay, we will compress. From 1, we will compress. So we'll get point number 2. Okay. Then after the 2, see 1 to 2, you can see this 1 to 2. It's a compression which occurs in a compressor. Okay. Then what is 2 to 3? Now point number 3, I need to mark somewhere here. Okay, on this green line. See 2 to 3. Point number 3, I should mark somewhere. Okay, I should mark somewhere. Okay, on the green line. Now where I should mark? Now question will be, see, when you mark, okay, inside the dome, when you mark the point number 3, let us see. If I mark the point number 3 here, okay, then what is the condition at point number 3? Okay, obviously it's a wet vapor again. Try to see. At point number 3, if I mark here, okay, if I mark point number 3 here, obviously it is again wet vapor because it is inside the dome. Because it is inside the dome. Try to understand. Because from 2, I need to revert back. Okay, so that this vapor gets converted to what? Okay, now in the problem it is mentioned the refrigerant is subcooled by 5 degrees Celsius. Okay, so what is the temperature here? It's 28. Its temperature is 28 because condenser temperature is 28. All of you try to understand. The condenser temperature, what is the condenser temperature? It is 28. So we need to subcool it by 5 degrees Celsius. Okay. So I will get point number 3 somewhere here. All of you try to understand. Okay. So I will get, okay, what is the temperature? I will get its temperature equal to, okay, 28 minus 5 degrees Celsius, that is 23 degrees Celsius. Okay, 23 degrees Celsius. Now, how I should plot that point? Okay, so for that, all of you see here, the very important thing. Okay, try to understand this. Okay, so see here somewhere, okay, we will get one line, right? Here somewhere we'll get a line. Okay, all of you try to understand. Here somewhere we'll get a line. Okay, and that is basically intersect here. Okay, that will intersect here. Okay, somewhere here. Okay, so that point number 3 I will take it. Is that okay? Okay, because along this line, okay, what is the temperature? We need to cool it by 5 degrees Celsius. That means a 28 minus 5, that means we should get 23 degrees Celsius here, right? Is that okay? Yes, is that okay? Let me know. Yes. Because see, I want, see here on this line, what is the temperature at 28 degrees Celsius? Okay, but we need to subcooled by 5 degrees Celsius. Okay, so we are subcooling it by 5 degrees Celsius. Okay, so here the temperature was 28. Here I got the temperature 23. Yes, is that okay? Yes, let me know. See here the temperature is 23 degrees Celsius. Okay, so along this line, yellow colored line. Okay, along the yellow colored line, okay, we should get the temperature, that is we should get the point number 3 here. Yeah, is that okay? Let me know. Yeah, I'll just extend it somewhat like this. Okay, this is point number 3 I will plot. Okay, yes, see this is point number 3, somewhere I'll get. See, this is point number 3, right? Okay, because see, but the point of, see, 2 to 3, it occurs in a condenser. Okay, and when you talk about 3 to 4, that is obviously a straight line. That is the isenthalpic process. This is a straight line. Okay, it occurs in a expansion wall, that is capillary tube. Okay, so I'll just mark this point number 4 here. Try to understand. See, 1 to 2, okay, it occurs in a compressor. 2 to 3, it occurs in a condenser, right? 3 to 4, it occurs in a throttling device like expansion wall, solenoid wall. Okay, and 4 to 1, it occurs in the evaporator. Now see, now question will be only about why the point number 1 is lying here, because you can see the vapor is 95% dry when it leaves the evaporator. So see, at point number 1, the vapor is leaving the evaporator and it is entering the compressor. You can see point number 1, it's the exit of the evaporator and it is entry to the compressor. So at that point, the vapor is 95% dry. See, 95% dry means what? Okay, it contains 5% moisture. And in such case, it is said to be wet vapor. That's why point number 1 is lying here. Okay, okay, it is lying inside the dome. Inside the dome, it is wet. Okay, on the right hand part of the curve, okay, dome, on the right hand part of the dome, that is this point. Okay, this point, it is dry, and on the right hand side of the right hand part, it is a superheated. So in this region, right hand side, it's a superheated one. Okay, so point number 1, it is lying because it is 95% dry. That means 5% it contains moisture. So that is a wet region. Now one more thing, why the point number 3 it is coming, okay, on the left hand side of the saturated liquid line. Why it is coming inside? Because you can see that the refrigerant is subcooled by 5 degrees Celsius. Okay, so see, this is a subcooled region. I'll just show you. Okay, this is a subcooled region. Okay, subcooled region. Okay, when you talk about the right hand side, okay, it is a superheated region. See, this one is a superheated. This is a superheated. This is a superheated. Is that okay? See, try to understand. Left hand, it's a subcooled. Right hand side, it's a superheated, and inside region, it's a wet region. See, subcooled, okay, it is on the left hand part, left hand side of the blue line. Left hand side of the blue line, it's a subcooled. On the blue line, we have saturated liquid. On the blue line, we have saturated liquid. Okay. Inside the dome, we have wet vapor. Okay. On the right, on the red line, on this red line, okay, we have dry saturated vapor. Dry saturated vapor. And on the right hand side, we have superheated. Is that okay? Yes. Is that okay or not? Yes. Let me know. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Now what is asking? Using pH chart. See, understanding of the problem is very important. Okay. Using pH chart for NH3, that is ammonia, right? What is NH3? NH3 is ammonia. I don't understand. NH3. NH3, it stands for ammonia, right? Ammonia. Okay. Determine the condition of refrigerant at the outlet of the compressor. See, outlet of the compressor is 0.2. So at point number 2, we need to determine its condition. We need to calculate COP. Okay, we need to calculate COP as well as we need to calculate power required. Now see, all of you, they asked to use pH chart. Okay, so see all of you. So pH chart, okay, it is different for a different refrigerant. Try to understand. pH chart is different for different refrigerant. Okay, so here the refrigerant is given as NH3, that is ammonia. Okay, and whose designation is given by R717. Okay, this is the designation of the refrigerant ammonia. Ammonia, it is indicated by R717. Okay, so for every refrigerant, we will have a different pH chart. You can see here it is clearly mentioned R717. Okay, so you need to use the chart for R717 only. If they mention the ammonia, then only you can go for this chart. If they mention R22, okay, you need to use the chart for that refrigerant. Okay, so you can't use same chart for every refrigerant, because as the refrigerant will change, their properties will change, their desired effect will change, right? Okay, so let us see now. Okay, now see, this is basically the pH chart. pH chart, right? pH chart, pressure enthalpy chart, right? Now see, if you need to start with the solution, okay, if we need to start with the solution, right, then how we should start with the solution? So see, if you need to plot any process on a pH chart, at least we should know coordinates. At least we should know the coordinates. We should know the coordinates, right? See, so when you talk about point number 1, all of you try to understand. At point number 1, okay, we know the temperature. You can see at point number 1, what is the temperature? -12. At point number 2, what is the temperature? 28. At point number 3, what is the temperature? They have given 23 degrees Celsius. At point number 4, what is the temperature? -12 degrees Celsius. If you want, I'll just write it down. T1 is given -12 degrees Celsius. T2, they have given as 28 degrees Celsius. T3, they have given as 23 degrees Celsius. And T4, it is given as, okay, again -12 degrees Celsius, right? Is that okay? Have you understood? Yes. These temperatures are known. Okay, temperatures are known, but we should know at least one more coordinate, right? Because we need to plot a point, right? So for plotting a point, we should know at least 2 coordinates. So see, all of you, you can see the point number 1. Point number 1, okay, what is the dryness fraction? 0.95% dry. So I'll just write down. At point 1, okay, at point 1, okay, the vapor is wet. You can see that vapor is wet. Why vapor is wet? As dryness fraction, okay, dryness fraction, okay, dryness fraction, that is X, dryness fraction is indicated by X, is less than 1. You can check, dryness fraction is less than 1. Okay, so when dryness fraction is less than 1, obviously it is wet stream. Okay, and when you will get dryness fraction equal to 1 on the red line, on this red part of the dome, on the red part of the dome, we will get dryness fraction X is equal to 1. Okay, on the blue line, you can see the blue part of the dome, we will get dryness fraction 0. Okay, on the blue line, we will get dryness fraction, that is X is equal to 0. On the red part, we will get dryness fraction equal to 1. Okay, and in between this blue and red that is inside the dome, we will get dryness fraction which is greater than 0 or less than 1. Okay, and that is nothing but weight stream. That is nothing but a weight stream. Okay, now let us start with that. So we should get, okay, so at point number 1, the stream is weight. Okay, so can you calculate enthalpy of weight stream? How to calculate enthalpy of weight stream? Can you let me know what is the enthalpy at weight stream? All of you, if you remember the formula in thermodynamics, it is HF plus X into HFG. Are you able to remember that? HF plus X into HFG. Say yes or no? How to calculate enthalpy of weight stream? It is HF plus X into HFG. Is that okay? Let me know. HF plus X into HFG. Are you able to recall this formula? Let me know. Yes. Enthalpy of weight stream. It is HF. Try to understand. It is HF plus X into HFG. HF plus X into HFG. Yes or no? So I'll just write down HF1, X1, HFG1. Okay. Are you recall this formula? This is for enthalpy of what? Weight stream. Let me clear you. See, it is a weight stream. That's why formula is HF plus X into HFG. Okay. If it is dry, for dry, the formula is directly HG. For dry, how to calculate enthalpy of dry stream? It is directly HG. Okay. So let us first start with this problem. The point number 1 is weight. So its enthalpy is given by HF plus X into HFG. How to calculate? So we need to calculate the value of HF. See, value of HF. From where we'll get the value of HF? HF, we will get it from refrigerant charts. I will show you those charts. So HF, and at point number 1, what temperature we have? Minus 12 degrees Celsius. So HF at minus 12 degrees Celsius plus X1 into HFG at minus 12 degrees Celsius. Is that okay? Let me know. Is that okay or not? Let me know. Because at point number 1, okay, the vapor is weight. How to calculate the enthalpy of weight vapor? HF plus X into HFG. Now question will be, okay, from where we will get the HF and HFG? Okay, so HF and HFG, you can get it from refrigerant table. You can get those values from refrigerant table at what temperature? Because at point number 1, we have temperature minus 12 degrees Celsius. So we'll get those values at minus 12 degrees Celsius. Is that okay? Yeah, let me know. Is that okay? Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. Now see, so all of you see such tables you can also browse it on a net. Okay, I will just post this table into your WhatsApp group. Okay. So let us see. Let us start with the table. Okay. So different refrigerants will have different properties. So you can see the table number 1. Okay, which is for R12. Okay. So we don't want that. Okay. Let us go to the next table. Okay. Let us go to the next table. It is R22. Okay. Again, this we don't want. We want, okay, R717. Okay, that is ammonia. Can you see this now? R717 ammonia. Yes. See, this is a refrigerant table for R717. Can you see this? Yes. All of you, can you see this value? Yes, R717. Yes. See, this is the refrigerant table. Okay, refrigerant table. This is called as a refrigerant table. See, same sort of table we have seen in thermodynamics for water. Okay, for water we have seen. For water, all these properties we have seen already. Now we are seeing it for what? Refrigerants. And here the refrigerant is ammonia, that is NH3. Can you see this value? Okay, can you see these tables, all of you?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so see, can you see the temperature minus 12? We want same temperature, right? You can see we need to calculate the values at minus 12 degrees Celsius. So see what I will do, I'll just let me copy this table. Okay, I'll just copy this table. Okay, see what you need to do, you just need to pick the values. Okay, so see, I'll just show you that. Okay, so what is the value of HF? What is the value of HF at you can call this as minus 12 degrees Celsius. What is the value? HF at minus 12 degrees Celsius. Can you see the value? HF, see this value, 144.91. Can you see the value? 144.91. See HF. See -12 at -12 degrees Celsius. HF is 144.91.
144.91.
Yes, yes. Okay, so that value I will write down now here. Okay, it is 144. Okay, 144.91. That is HF, right? Plus X dry inspection, we know it is given at point number 1. Dry inspection is given. What is the value? X1 is given. Dry inspection X1, that is 0.95% dry. Okay, so this is 0.95%, right? That I've written, right? Now next, okay, it is HFG. That HFG I should know, right? HFG I should know. So see here, all of you, HFG. See, HF I've written plus dry inspection I've written into HFG. So you can see the value of HFG here. Can you see the value of HFG? HFG is not given. You can see this. HFG is not given. So HFG, it is simply the difference between HG and HF. Try to understand. This is not the new formula I'm telling you. This we already practiced in the thermodynamics. HFG, it's the difference of HG and HF. Okay, so I'll just write it down, the formula here. Okay, so just so here somewhere, okay, I'll just write down that formula. Okay, so it is HFG. If you want, I'll just write down one more formula. Okay, so is given by let me write down one more formula here. No need to get confused. I'll just write down one more formula or detailed formula for this one. Okay, so this is given by HF1 plus X1, okay, into HFG. As I told you, there's a difference between HG and HF. It is a difference of HG and HF. Okay, so I just write down here only in detail. HG, difference between HG and HF. That is nothing but HFG. Okay, so is equal to, that is HF at -12 degrees Celsius plus X1 into HG at -12 degrees Celsius, right? Minus HF at -12 degrees Celsius. Is that okay? Is that okay or not? Let me know. Yes. Yeah. Understood? Okay. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So what we'll do now, all of you can see now. Okay. So with this, we need to do some calculation, right? With this, we need to do some calculation. Okay. So now let us start with the calculations part. Let us start now with the calculation. Okay. So let us put the value now. Okay. So value of HF, all of you know. Okay. Just now we have taken it from the table. Okay, that is, you can see at -12 degrees Celsius, what value we have? 144.91. I'll just write down that value. 144.91 multiplied by sorry, plus try to understand, huh? Plus X1, that is 0.95 multiplied by HG minus HF. So what is HG? HG, you can see the value at -12 degrees Celsius. HG is 1447.97. 1447.97 minus yeah, yes, minus that value I supposed to write down, right? Minus the remaining, right? Minus 144.91. Is that okay? So can you get the answer now? Yes, let me know the answer. What answer we're getting? Yes, just do the calculation and let me know the answer. Yes, what answer we're getting? Yes. Simple calculation is there. Yes. I'm expecting all of you to solve. How much answer we getting? Yes, respond. 144.91. 144.91 4.95 into
1382.81.
1381.
2.81.
Okay, kilojoule per kg. Every answer we will get it in kilojoule per kg. Is that okay? Yes.
Yes, sir.
Yes. Okay. Now see, that
sir.
means
Okay.
yes. Yeah. Now at point number one, we have two properties. One is temperature and second is enthalpy. Is that okay? See, temperature we know at point number one. What is the temperature? Minus 12 degrees Celsius. You can see temperature at point number one, we know minus 12. At the same time, just we have calculated enthalpy. Okay, just now we have calculated the enthalpy. Yes or no? Just now we have calculated the enthalpy also. So so how to plot that point? You can see this line. Okay, 80 degrees Celsius, 60. All of you, minus 12. Yeah. Can you see this one? This is 0 degrees Celsius, right? Here what we have? Here we have, okay, when you see this line, yes. Can you see this line now? All of you. This is minus 20 degrees Celsius line. Let me know. Is that okay? All of you, let me know. This is 0. This is minus 20, right? Here, see, this is minus 20, right? This is minus 20 degrees. Let me know. Are you able to get this? Yes, all of you. Yes. Are you able to get this one? See, here it is minus 20. Here it is 0. Is that okay? Yes. All of you respond.
Yes, sir.
Okay, see here 0 minus 20. That means here somewhere it is minus 10, right? Approximate I'm drawing. Huh? This is minus 10, right? Minus 10, minus 11, minus 12 will be somewhere here, right? See, this is the point. Is that okay? See, 10, 11, 12, 13 till, okay, it will goes to 20. Yes or no? All of you. Okay. So what I'll do, okay, this is nothing but what? Our temperature minus 12 degrees Celsius. This is our temperature minus 12 degrees Celsius. So from that, okay, I will simply draw a straight line. Try to understand. I'm drawing a straight line. I'm drawing a straight line, okay, which will intersect. Try to understand. Which will intersect, okay, which will intersect on this, okay, saturated liquid line. You can see that. Yes, is that okay? This is a minus. See, all this process you need to do, okay, with the scale. With the scale, you need to do that. You should draw a straight line, straight vertical line, and straight horizontal line. You should be able to draw. right? And some tolerance is allowed for the answers. Okay, but those are all approximate answers should be within the range. Is that okay? Let me know. Is that okay with this one or not? Okay. Similarly, it will go down. Yes. You can see it will go like this. Is it okay? It will go somewhere like this, right? So temperature line I drawn. Okay. Temperature line, I know -12, but this -12°C line has to be intersected by the enthalpy line. Just now we have calculated the enthalpy at point number 1. Yes, are you able to recall that? What enthalpy we got? 1382, right? So let us see that 1382, where we'll get 1382, right? This is 1200. You can see this one, all of you. I will show by different color. 1382 we want. See here, it is 1200, right? Here it is 1400. You can see this is 1400. See, this is 1400, right? So this is 1300, right? This is 1300. Okay, 1300. Okay, 1380 we want, approximate 1380, right? Because it is 1382 is there. 82 is there. So we will take 1380. Okay, so this is 1300. Okay, one. Okay, this is 1300. This becomes half, right? That is 1350. See, approximate, right? So this is 1200. This is 1400. The middle one becomes, okay, 1300. Okay, then average of 13 and 1400 becomes 1350. It will lie here. Okay, and that 80 will somewhere lie. Is that okay? Yes or no? Let me know, all of you. So I will start drawing a vertical line from that. Is that okay? Yes or no? Let me know. So this is the approximate vertical line I'm drawing. Is that okay? You should draw a straight line, huh? All of you, you should draw a straight line. This is a straight line. Is that okay? Yes. Let me know. Is that okay or not? Yes. Is it okay? See here, H1 I have written, H1, 1382.
सर आपका स्क्रीन अटका हुआ है।
I think it is typing. Yeah. Is it typing now?
यस सर अभी दिखा है।
Yeah. So see all of you. So intersection of this -12°C line and 1382 will intersect here. Okay. So this is nothing but point number 1. Yes or no? Let me know. Is it a point number 1? See, this is point number 1. Is that okay? So this is what we got. Point number 1. Yes or no, all of you? Are you able to get this one? This is point number 1. Is it okay? Is it okay or not?
Yes.
Okay. Now we need to plot point number 2. You can see point number 2 we need to plot now. So for point number 2, okay, we should have which line? 28°C line. You can see point number 2, it is on the green line. That is 28°C line. Okay. So what I will do, I will now show a 28°C line. Okay. So let us see now here, 28°C line. Okay. So you see this is 20. See, this is 20°C line, right? This is 40°C line. You can see that. See all of you, this one. See, just see this one. This is 20°C. Okay. And this one is a 40°C line. Okay. Somewhere here, 40°C line. Okay. So here it is 30. Here it is 30, right? Somewhere here it is 30. Okay. So 28 will be lying somewhere here, right? Is that okay or not? Let me know. This is 28°C line. See, all these are the approximations with which I'm getting the answers. Okay, but all those approximations has to be justified. Okay, and they should be within the range. Right. You can see this. Yes, is that okay, all of you? See, this is the line which I've drawn. Okay, vertical line. Okay, where temperature is, what is the temperature here? 28°C. On this line, temperature is 20, right? So where it is going, it is cutting the saturated liquid line. then it is moving horizontally. You can see that. Yes, it is moving horizontally. Yeah, is that okay? So now it is moving horizontally, okay, like this. Okay, then further it will go down, right? Further it will goes down. Is that okay? This is going down. Is it okay? It is going down. Yes. Okay, now we should get point number 2, right? Where, how to get point number 2? All of you now try to understand. What we have done, we have just drawn 28 degrees Celsius line like this. Okay, simply this is 28 degrees Celsius line. Now how to get point number 2 is, okay, see, from point number 1, if you see, below one line is going, also above one line is going, okay, and this above line and below line, they are constant entropy line. They are constant entropy line. Okay, so what we will do, we will simply draw a parallel line. Try to understand. I will simply draw a parallel line, okay, to either below line or above line. You can see that. Parallel line. Okay, try to understand now. So how I'll move? I'll move like this. Is that okay, all of you? See this one. So I got which point? I got point number 2 now. I got point number 2. Is that clear? Simply how I got that? Okay, simply the intersection of 28 degrees Celsius line and the line which is passing through point number 1 and which is isentropic line, that is constant entropy line. See the line which I drawn by orange color, you can see that it's a parallel to above line 0.9 line, as well as it is parallel to below line. Is that okay? Yes or no? Yes.
Yes.
Okay, now I should get point number 3. You can see point number 3 where it is. Point number 3, it is at 23 degrees Celsius. Okay, so I will get point number 3, that is the intersection of this, okay, this line as well as 23 degrees Celsius line, right? So now I'll just plot that point. Okay, 23 degrees Celsius line I will plot now. Okay, this is 28. Okay, this is 28. Right, so 23 will be just closed. Okay, just you can see that. See, it is very difficult to plot those processes. See, this is 23 degrees Celsius line. You can see this. See, this is 23 degrees Celsius line. This is 23 degrees Celsius line, right? This is 23. Right? Are you able to see this blue color line? Okay, 23 degrees Celsius line, right? 23 degrees Celsius line. You can see that it's a blue colored line, okay, which I'm plotting, right? And the point where it intersects the constant pressure line. So I need to draw now the constant pressure. Okay, so this line I will extend here. Try to understand. This is a very important thing. Okay, this I will extend now. So you can see this. This I will extend here. This I will extend. Okay. So the point which I got now, okay, it's point number, okay, 3. Is that okay? I don't understand. This is point number 3. Okay, this is point number 3, because on this line, what temperature we have? We have it equal to 23 degrees Celsius, right? 23 degrees Celsius. Is it okay? See, 23 degrees Celsius line, it is coming here. Okay, it is coming down, and what it is intersecting? It is intersecting to the constant pressure line. See, obviously the horizontal line is constant temperature line, but when you see, it is also a constant pressure line, right? Because it's a horizontal, and this process 2 to 3 occurs in a condenser where pressure is constant. So obviously, so when you extend this line 2 to 3, and when you intersect it with 23 degrees Celsius, we'll get point number 3. Yeah, is that okay? Yes, is that okay? Let me know. Is it okay or not? Yes.
Yes, sir.
Okay, now see the last point now. Okay, now what we need to do is we need to just, okay, we need to just bring this point, what, 0.3 down directly, simply. We need to bring it down, so we'll get point number 4. We'll get point number 4. Is it okay? See, point number 1, how we got? Point number 1 we got by the intersection of minus 12 degrees Celsius line and the enthalpy 1380. This is how we got point number 1. Okay. Then what we have done? Then we have drawn the above temp. Okay. Then we have drawn above temperature line. Okay. That is minus. Sorry. That is 28 degrees Celsius line we drawn. Okay. And that 28 degrees Celsius line is going to intersect, okay, the line which is drawn from point number 1. So that is that we got point number 2. Then we have drawn 23 degrees Celsius line. It is intersecting this line. So it is point number 3. And when you bring the point number 3 down, it becomes point number 4. Is it okay? Yes. Yes. Let me know. Now, how to calculate COP? Let me know how to calculate COP. Yes. Can anybody let me know how to calculate COP? COP is given by what? Desired effect, right? Desired effect upon work input, right? Desired effect upon work input, right? Desired effect, we get it in the evaporator, okay? And in evaporator, the process which occurs is 4 to 1. You can see the process 1 to 2, 2 to 3, 3 to 4, and 4 to 1. So in evaporator, 4 to 1 process occurs, right? So that is nothing but H1 minus H4, H1 minus H4. Okay, divided by work input. So work input, it is consumed during process 1 to 2. Okay, so that is nothing but H2 minus H1, H2 minus H1, right? So H1 we know already 1382, okay, minus H4, H4. That value of H4 I should be able to write it down. Okay, so this value, okay, if you just measure. Yes, right? Just bring this value down. What is that? 200. Okay, this is 400. So approximately 300 value you can take, right? So H4 is 300. I'll put divided by H2. H2 again, that value we need to take it down. You can see this value. Okay, H2, value of H2 we can bring it down. Is that okay? H2 will bring it down. Okay, so it will comes 1400. Here it is 1600. You can see 1400, 1600. This is 1500. So 1550 we can make it, right? 1550. See, 1550 minus H1 is again 300. So can you tell me COP? Yeah. Is it okay or not? Let me know. Is it okay? Yes. This is just plotting the process on a pH diagram. Simply, we have not used any formula. Okay, still we are able to get all the answers. Can you tell me the value of COP? Yes, COP. What value of COP we have?
0.86.
0.86.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now let us calculate. Let us calculate the power required. Okay, so for power required, okay, it is already there. Okay, you can see this. Power required, it is nothing but what? Work consumed by the compressor, right? Work consumed by the compressor. Okay, see, and that we already calculated. But thing is, see, what first thing they asked? They asked to calculate COP. COP already we have calculated. Now power required. So power will be consumed by the compressor. So that is nothing but work input. That we already calculated. That is 1550 minus 300. That value is already there, but it is in kilojoule per kg. Okay, kilojoule per kg. Kilojoule per kg. Okay, so I'll just write down. Okay, so work required or work consumed by the compressor is WC. That we already calculated. Okay, now how to calculate power required? Power, that is, it should be in kilowatt. That is kilojoule per second. That is, So power required, it is nothing but mass flow rate multiplied by WC. Okay, because this mass flow rate will be in kg per second, and whatever the answer that we have calculated, it is kilojoule per kg. So kg gets cancelled. It is in kilojoule per second, and that is nothing but kilowatt. Simply, this whatever the answer is there, 1550 minus 300. That answer we need to convert into kilowatt. Okay, because this answer is in kilojoule per kg. It is in kilojoule per kg. We need to convert that into kilojoule per second. So how to do it? We need to multiply it by mass flow rate. Now how to calculate mass of the air? Okay, so that we just now we are written. Okay, so desired effect we already know. Desired effect, try to understand. See how we are moving. Desired effect is given by H1 minus H4, right? Desired effect is given by H1 minus H4. Okay, but see, desired effect we have written H1 minus H4, right? But desired effect, that is the refrigeration effect, it is given in tons. Okay, how much ton it is given? 10 TR. This desired effect they have given in 10 TR. So this is 10 TR. So when we multiplied by 210, okay, 10 TR, when we multiplied by 210, we will get the answer in kilojoule per minute, right? So we'll get this answer in, try to understand, this answer we'll get it in kilojoule per minute, right? This answer we got it in kilojoule per minute. Is that okay? Yes. 10 TR multiplied by 210, that is in kilojoule per minute, is equal to H1 minus H4. H1 minus H4, but this H1 minus H4, okay, it is in kilojoule per kg. Try to understand. It is in kilojoule per kg. Is it okay? Yes, it is in kilojoule per kg. So on the left hand side, we have in kilojoule per minute. On the right hand side, we have it in kilojoule per kg. So will it be okay? Yes. Will it be okay? Yes. Will it be okay or not? Let me know. I will rewrite. See, desired effect, we already have that as 10 into 210 kilojoule per minute. This you can see already we have done that. Okay, see this 10 TR we converted into kilojoule per minute by multiplying by 210. Okay, but what is about right hand side? It is only in kilojoule per kg, right? So will it be okay? Okay, left hand side and right hand sides are not equal, right? So what we'll do, okay, we will multiply it by kg per minute. You can see that we'll multiply this value by kg per minute. That means we'll multiply it by mass flow rate of the air. Try to understand, huh? That means we will multiply it by, I will erase everything and I will just write it down as, okay, is given by mass flow rate of the air multiplied by H1 minus H4. Try to understand why it is so. Because for mass flow rate, we have it in kg per minute multiplied by H1 minus H4. This is in kilojoule per kg. Kg get cancelled. Okay, what we get kilojoule per minute. Is that okay?
Yes,
Yes.
sir.
Okay. So let us put the values now. Right. Let us put the values now. Okay. So I'll just erase this value. Okay. Now let us put the values. Okay, so 210, see 10 into 210 is given by mass of the air we are supposed to calculate, multiplied by H1 minus H4, that is 1382 minus 300. Can you tell me the mass of the air? Yes, let me know the mass of the air. Yes. Yes. Let me know the mass of the air, all of you. Yes, how much mass of the air? How much?
1.94.
Mass of the air is 1.94. Okay, this is in which unit? As I told you, kg per minute. Okay, so can you divide it by 60? So 1.94 divided by 60 kg per second. Yeah, is that okay? So let me know this value also. Yeah. Just divide it by 60.
0.032.
0.032.
Okay, just give me a minute. Okay, this mass is in kilojoule kg per minute. Okay, I will just write down here only. Okay. Kg per minute. kg per minute multiplied by kilojoule per kg, right? Kg get cancelled. Okay, how much value you got for the mass?
0.032.
0.032. Okay, kg per second. Kg per second, right? So how to calculate now power? Power required, simply power required, it is nothing but what mass of the air we have multiplied by H2 minus H1, because H2 minus H1 will be consumed by the compressor, and that is nothing but power required. Okay, but why we have multiplied by mass? Because we want a power, right? Because see, this H2 minus H1 was in kilojoule per kg, and when we multiplied by mass, that is kg per second. Okay, kg gets cancelled, we will get it in kilojoule per second, and that is nothing but kilowatt. So 0.032 multiplied by H2 minus H1, H2 1550 minus 300. Okay, so let me know how much answer we have. Yes.
40.
40 kilowatt. Is that okay, all of you? Yes, is that okay?
Yes, sir.
Okay, are you able to understand the
Yes.
numerical? The entire numerical we have solved on the pH diagram only. Okay, entire numerical we have solved on the pH diagram. So maximum time is required so as to understand the given data, okay, and to plot the process on a pH diagram. Without pH diagram, the problem will not be solved. Okay, and along with the pH diagram, okay, what I used is I use the refrigerant table. Okay, what I use the refrigerant table. So what I will do is I'll just also copy this table, okay, in the solution, okay, so that you will be in a better position to understand. Is that okay?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Is there any doubt or difficulty you are facing with this one?
No, sir.
No,
Yeah, let me know. Okay. So if you have any doubt or difficulties, you can just let me know. Okay. Otherwise, we can conclude the today's session and we will continue in the next session.
Yes, sir. We should
Okay.
conclude.
In the next lecture, we will start with the vapor absorption refrigeration system.